Hello everyone and welcome back to another one of my GMod videos. As you can see, I am in a pony this time because I I was doing the human pony war, and unfortunately when I went to my NPCs tab, I didn't find any pony NPCs for some reason. And it might be because I have over 500 mods, which is not recommended for Gmod. You should always keep it like at most 200, not no more. Otherwise, you're gonna have conflicts and problems, and then figuring out what happened is gonna give you a bad time, like I have. So until I figure out what the hell happened, the production of Human Pony War is postponed. But I wanted to work on it today, and I can't. So, since I am already in a pony and I'm too lazy to change my model, I wanted to give you a little nice pack tutorial. So let's go ahead and do it. So what you do, if you have already downloaded pack, the link to the pack is down in the description, and the link to the different things I'm going to use in this video are also in the description. So okay, let's hold C, and then you have this nice little menu, and what you do, you go ahead to the pack one. It's gonna look different for you, the icon, but it should say pack editor. And now you have this nice little thing to the left, and you have this viewport here. And you can rotate the viewport however you want with left click, and then you can just drag around the mouse to rotate the view. WASD moves you around, space puts you up. So you know it's like a 3D program. And then menu to the left is very similar to a Visual Studio menu. We have these things here, and then you have the properties of each thing down here. So this is basic. This is the basic menu, how it looks like. And my outfit is the basic thing that you always start with when you create a new pack. And what we're going to do, a good practice, is to right click on it and create a new group, which helps in organization. And that's what we're going to do. And now we're going to name it. Just drag your mouse down and you have this name here thing. Left click on it and change the name to a halo thingy, which is the thing that we're going to do today. And this thing can be achieved with any model. I forgot to mention this can be achieved with any model, but I decided to go with the ponies because it feels more climactic if we do this halo thing around the horn, and because I'm lazy to change my player model. And now don't play around with the parent name. This is just what the parent is of this thing, and the parent is my outfit. Owner name, don't play around with it. It's the self. It should remain self unless you want to do something different, but I'm not going to go into that. So now we have this group, and right click on the group, the new group that we've created, the halo thing, and scroll and drag your mouse down to the model, and don't go inside. These things we're going to play around with later, but right now just go to the model and left click on it, and there you go. You have this nice little sphere around the legs or hooves. So you have now this thing, this value thing, all these things popped up for the model. If you go to the group, they disappear. So selecting the right thing gives you different objects to play around with, different things. And now you have all these things: the name, the model, material. You have this bone merge, position, angle, eye angle, scale, position, offset, angle, offset, appearance, color, brightness, and so on. It's just so many things. You can pretty much do whatever you want with these things. But what we're going to do, we're going to do the halo thing, like I said. So first thing is changing the model to the correct thing that you want. And you do it by going to the model thing and clicking on these three dots here, and then going to your spawn lists, then going to the builder tab, and under the builder tab you have the specialized tab, and in the specialized tab you have all these different tubes. I recommend using this one called 1 by 1 by 1, which is one width, one height, and one depth. And now we have this nice little tube around here. The pony is inside it. And now we have, but it's still not in the right position because it is attached to the ground. For some reason, for these models, head is in the ground. I don't know why, but that's how it is. So we have to select the correct bone, which for these models is clicking on 3 dots and then scrolling down somewhere near the eyes, selecting the L rig skull or skull. You can obviously just type it in as well if you feel like it, if you know the bone name. And now we have it attached to our head, but it's still kind of like wrong. It's not upright, and that's when we go to the angles. Now each of those values here, or each of those zeros, represents a different axis. So for example, this one represents the x-axis, this one represents the y, and this one z. You can rotate those things, you can play around with those by left clicking and holding down the mouse button, dragging up and down. You can also use the scroll wheel, or you can go ahead and do it in the view port, like so. I prefer doing it this way. It's just simpler. So we have to rotate it upright, which is, as you know, 90 degrees angle. Now you have it upright, and it's still a little bit too big. And we can also change the scale with change the size with the scale, and each of those scales represents a different axis. But I'm not going to go into that yet. We're going to change the size of the thing, because if you go ahead and hell, since I've already mentioned it, because changing the scale of each thing is going to change the scale of the axis. So if you go ahead and scroll this up or down, you're going to see that it gets deformed, and this gets deformed on the green axis, this gets deformed on the red axis, and this gets deformed on the blue axis. And a good idea is to use the size first, which affects the size of the model, not just any particular axis, and then changing the scale of a different axis to get the right size that you want, or the right shape. So now we have it kind of the correct size and in the correct angle, but it's not in the correct position. So what we do, we play around with the position thing here above the angles, which again, X, Y, Z, and you go ahead and drag it down, drag it up, and you kind of want to put it somewhere in the center. Yeah, I think that's in the center. Just worry about this center around here, not any other center. We have to put it a little bit. There we go. That's the center. Now, what I've noticed with this particular pony model is the horn is not in the exact center of the model, and it can be easily fixed by going to the last axis here and going with 0.2 value, and now it's in the exact center. And you're going to figure that out yourself if you just go ahead to this angle, because we need to. It's still like it is in the correct like angle upright, but it's not the correct angle as the horn, because the horn is kind of like tilted. So what we have to do, we have to change this angle here to 27, and you figure out the correct angle when you put the thing in the exact middle of the horn, and then you see the blue thing touching the tip or not. And if it is, you have the correct thing. But now I'm going to show you that it is not, the horn is not exactly in the center of the head. As you can see here, I've moved it back to the 0, and as you can see, the blue axis is a little bit off. And that's what I've just learned to do automatically. Just type in 0.2 every time you want to do something with the horn. It's something you learn over time as you do things. Same thing with everything in life. Anyway, let's go to the size because I don't like how big it is. So we're going to give it a nice 0.05075 value here. And now I want this top thing here touching the tip of the horn. And we have to move it forwards as well. Move it down. And there you go. That's exactly the tip. And now it's still a little bit like a tube, like a long tube. And I want it to look like a tube. I want it to look like a halo. So now we can use the scale thing. Now it's the perfect time to give it the perfect shape that you want. And we go down by 0.5 to give it like this nice little halo ring around the horn. And there you go. And now you can see the texture is like these checkered, ugly things. It doesn't matter if you change the color of it, it's still going to be the checkers. So what you do, you have to go to the material thing here, which is underneath the model, and you can either type in models, debug, and then debug white, which is pure white, or you can click those three little dots and scroll down somewhere about here, somewhere near the middle, a little bit above the middle, and you can find this thing here, which is between these checkers and this wet spot thing, and after the newspapers. So you select this, and it's gonna give you this link, which is debug white. And now you have this nice little, and now you can change. You have this nice little smooth texture, and you can change the color to whatever you want. But today we're going to go ahead with a halo thing, and how I like my halos, which maybe you don't like them how I do, so I'm just giving you how to do my way. You go ahead to the alpha thing, and you give it 0, a nice little 0 value. Now this thing disappeared. So what you do, you can also give it a new name if you want to be more organized, but we don't have to. So what you do now, you right click on the tube X, and you go to the model, and you go into the subgroup, and you select halo, and now you have this nice little thing around your horn. What you do now is you can go ahead to appearance and select a nice little color if you want to. I like, let's say this one. This one, the blue one. And there you go. It now shines in a nice blue color. If you want it to shine brighter, go to the passes and give it more value, like for example 10. And now you have this nice little thing. But you can see it's a little bit blocky and maybe not big enough. So you can go ahead to blur X and give it more, and blur Y and give it more blur. You can also play around with the amount as well if you want it, bigger, or not if you want to. So I think we can keep it on 55555. It's gonna look nice. It's not going to be too bright. It's not going to be too big. But you have to remember that giving it more amount and less passes is going to make it disappear in longer distances. So you want to kind of keep the amount low. I think I like 10 and 55. It's good enough. So now we have this nice little thing, and it's not really impressive. It's just a halo around the horn. So you want to give it more things to it. Like I want something floating above the horn as well. So what we do, we can go ahead and add in the halo thing a new model. And oh, whoops! It's now in the ground because we've added the thing in the halo thing. What you usually do if you want to keep things organized, you usually add the thing that you wanted to be attached to in the thing. Like for example tube, and then add the model to the tube, and it's going to be attached to the tube. It's going to appear there. But if you do this thing, like for example, oh no, I wanted it to be in the tube, but it's now in the halo thing. It's outside the tube. So what you do, you can just simply drag it into the tube, and it's fixed now. Because if you didn't do it, you would have to play around with the angles and positions all over again, and it's not something you want. You want to do it. You want to do something good, fast. You know, it's just a quick thing how you can fix these simple mistakes. So now what you do is you go ahead to the model again, and we select the correct model that you want. And I think I'm going to go with gems and money because I found this thing looks pretty nice. That's what I'm going to use. So now we have it in a nice spot here. It's not in the center, but don't worry. As you saw, we can fix it. So we apply the logic that we've learned recently, and it's not this angle. It's this one. Minus 90. We have to put it in the right, facing the right direction. At least I think that this side facing forwards is not looking as nice as this side facing forwards. I think this one looks nicer. So now we have it in the right direction, and now we have to put it in the right position, because I found it to be a little bit annoying, but almost every model in the pony thing is always a little bit off the center. So you have to put it in the right position, and a little bit down. Damn it, that was not down. This is down. I have to put it in the right spot. There you go. We have a nice little thing here. And now we can go ahead and give it alpha 0. But now you're going to scream at me. Hold on a minute. What the hell, sugary polka? What the hell happened to this thing? What about the halo thing? It's invisible. Well, my friend, we can go ahead and just right click and go to model and halo. Give it a different kind of halo if you want a different color for this thing that we just did. Or if you wanted the same halo color thing, which you kind of want to, because that's kind of how it works, right? You want to keep things aesthetical. So you go ahead to the halo thing, and you go to the effect children, and check it to true. And there you go. It now has the exact same glow, the exact same size, and the exact same color for the glow as the tube does. But it's still kind of plain. We can of course call it done, because it still looks nice and so on, but it's not very impressive. It's just a thing floating above the horn and then floating around the horn. What we can do is right click on the tube, go to effects, and go to the light. We're going to give this a nice little glow, and give it the same color as the halo, to keep it aesthetical and stuff, and give it a nice big size, like 20 or somewhere above 15 or 16, like 18. But you can notice that the brightness is like very, very bright, so just give it a little bit lower value, like I found 0.2 or 3 is perfect. I'm going to give it 0.25, between 0.2 and 0.3, or hell, give it 0.3. Too bright, 0.25. There we go. And now what this is going to do is, when we exit the pack, you can see that it kind of glows. You can see the glow on our hair. And when you enter dark areas, for example, like it shows up more in the dark areas. You can see that the thing glows around, lights up the area around you, and also we can see it glow in the dark, which I'm going to show you with the tool gun here. You can see now it's kind of glowing around my head. So that's what what I do always with this halo thingy. Anyway, let's go back to the pack. And because I don't think I'm done yet. And don't worry, this glow thing is going to light thing is going to disappear sometimes not. But it's still there. It's still there. For some reason it disappears for me, because I don't know. It's my computer is poo-poo. So you go ahead and give it go to the tube and give it a new model, or you can go to the refined diamond thing and give it a new model if you want something floating around the diamond. But I want it floating around the tube, so that's why I went to the tube and right-click a new model. But you can do whatever you want. Now we go ahead and give it a new model, and I want, let's say this one, and I want the tip touching the tube, kind of. So we have to put it back down to the side, which is 90 angles, or angle 90, sorry, 90 angles. And now we have to put it in the correct position. So we drag this to -2 and drag this down, and now it is a little bit behind the thing, so we have to give it more position here, then higher up, and it's, there you go, it's in the center. And now what you do is just go ahead and right click on the pretty rock thing and that I've added here, or whatever you added, and then click on clone. And now you have two. You have pretty rock 1 and pretty rock 2. Select the other one, number 2, and give it the angle where it's 90. Go ahead and give it -90. And this -2 position, give it 2. And now just put it up, get it a little bit up and a little bit forward and a little bit more up, then a little bit back. And there you go. Both of them are in the center of the tube now, and they are touching with the tips of the tube. And obviously you can also resize them if you want to. Give them a nice little shape that you want. They can be bigger, smaller, so on and so forth. You can also set the position if you want to, but I don't feel like it. So now we have them, and they're not transparent, but if you remember in the fin, you go ahead to alpha, you give them a nice alpha 0 thing, and they disappear immediately. But I still think we are not done yet, because we have a nice little thing. It's glowing, it's halo thingy, and it looks nice enough. And you can, if you want to, you can go ahead and give it more parts, more and more things floating around. But I think this is good enough. So what you want to do, you maybe wanted to rotate or change positions, like float up and down, or rotate like this or something. So what you do, if you want to rotate the entire thing, not any particular things floating around here, you go to the tube, you right click on the tube, and you go to the modifiers, and you go down to the proxy modifiers. Proxy are a fun thing. They can affect all these different things depending on how you want them to change and so on. But right now we're not going to play around with them a lot. We're just going to give them a new variable called angles. We're just going to change, because I want it to rotate, nothing else, this entire thing. If you did the proxy thing for any of those, particular things like pre-rock 2, it's just going to affect this thing, not the entire tube thingy. So now go to the angles thing that we just created, the proxy, and ignore all those things for now because they're not needed. And what we're going to do, we can see here input time, because it's going to be affected by over time, and we have the axis. Now in the axis, you go ahead, we want it to rotate like this. We don't want it to tilt or roll. We just want it to rotate around the horn. So those things like go a full 360 degrees around it. So what we do, we go ahead to the axis and we give it X. And the minimum, we give it 1. Keep max on 1 as well. And then just mark additive. And it's going to constantly rotate around your horn or whatever part you've used if you don't use the pony model. And now you are done. And don't forget to go to the pack here, up here in the toolbar, and go to where. so that others on the server can see it. And then exit. And there you go. There it is. It's floating around the thing. But maybe it's a little bit rigid. It can be, you might think it's a little bit rigid because it's kind of like hardwired to the horn. And obviously, if you want to, you can call it done. You can quit the video now because this is just going to be a little bit more. And what you want to do, if you don't want it to make it look so rigid, you go to the halo thing, right click, model, and jiggle. And what this does is it makes like look at the hair or the tail. You see those things like how it jiggles? Those are the jiggles. Those are the jiggles. Like the tail kind of takes a little bit of time to adjust to my changes. That's the jiggle. Now we have the jiggle, and we drag the tube into the jiggle, and you're like, oh no, I fucked up. This whole thing is in the ground and everything. Ha ha ha. If you remember anything from the lessons we just did, what we have when you go to the jiggle, you see the bone is still ahead. All you have to do is click on those three things and give it the right bone, and it's fixed now. There you go. So now it's floating around the horn, and the reason it's so easy to fix is because we still have all these positions and angles from the tube, and it adjusts properly. Now the jiggles are a fun little thing. You have all these things you can play around with. You have the angle and position and so on. Now if you deselect the jiggle angle, what it's going to do is when you look up and down, the angle of the thing is going to be very, very rigid, but not the position. It's going to float around you a lot. Now, if you disable position and enable the angle, you will notice that the angle takes a little bit of time to adjust to your horn, but the position is very rigid. It stays with the horn. So it depends on how you want the jiggles to look. You can play around with those. Stop radius we're not going to play around with yet. And we have also the constraint roll, constraint jaw, and pitch, and z, x, y, z, and velocity, which is also the z, y, x, y, z, and so on. But what we're going to play around with is just a simple thing which will make the thing float around your horn and follow you around. It's going to be a little bit behind you, but not too far away, because we have the speed is going to affect how fast the jiggle adjusts to your changes, and strain makes it either jiggle more or less, depending on how you edit. If you go with too high, it's not going to look good. It's going to look very robotic. And if you go with too low, it's not going to look good either. And now I made it disappear. I'm sorry, that was not supposed to happen. Model, jiggle, drag tube to jiggle. Elrig skill. There we go. And what I like to do is keep it somewhere near the 0.7 strain and speed 3. You can also give it a speed of 5 if you want to. And the reason is it kind of flows a little bit behind you, but it's not too far off. And the jiggle is, as you can see, the strain makes it so it kind of like takes a little bit of time to get back into position. But it looks more, doesn't look too robotic or organic. It looks nice. Play around with those values and see what you like, because this is how I like it. You might like it maybe a little bit with more strain, or maybe a lot less strain. You just play around with them, see what you like. And now, as you can see, the strain makes it very like smooth, and it's not very, it doesn't look nice. So if you go ahead and give it 0.7 and 5, and you can see the changes now. See how fast it is to follow. See how quick it is, and it kind of like a bee. When you stop, it's like a bee. And if we give it less strain, like 0.1, you will notice the difference. When you stop, it immediately goes into your horn. Like, it doesn't go around you like a bee. It just goes straight into it. So play around with those values and see what you like. I like 0.7 and then 3 because it looks nice. It's still like a kind of like a bee a little bit, but I like it this way. It looks nice. Makes it more magical, I guess. So there you go. That's the tutorial. I hope you had fun with this 30-minute tutorial. It also went into how Pac works and everything. So thank you so much for watching, and sorry for this awfully long video, but hopefully you've learned how to use basics of Pac. And, you know, maybe if this video gets a lot of views or likes, maybe I'll continue doing Pac. Until then, thank you for watching, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and see you next time, everybody. Have a good one. Bye bye.